What's going on YouTube and cryptocurrency family? My name is Harry, and I'm the Crypto Vet. Thank you for tuning back in. Happy Fiesta Friday. Market's not looking the best right now, but we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to go over a little bit more into that theory that I had yesterday. If you haven't already, I'll put a link somewhere either above my head now or in the next 30 seconds. I don't know how early I can put them in, where you can check out my theory on how things are a little bit timed off in the market and how we might be able to approach trading here soon. We'll just have to see. But if you like that, if you like the content, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe. I appreciate it so much, guys. Channel's growing super fast, and I can't thank all of you enough. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at XRP Veterinarian. Links for Twitch, Discord, all the other goodies will be down below. But let's go ahead and get started here. If we head over into CoinMarketCap, we can see overall market cap is down to $1.5 trillion. Bitcoin dominance down to 42.8%. And we can see here a lot more red in the market, but it hasn't moved much from where we were last night. We do still have some green. We have helium and Zcash doing pretty well right now. And if we go to the red, we can see the list goes on and on. If we take a quick look at Bitcoin dominance, and we're just going to zoom in here. Again, all these charts are in the Discord as well as on my Twitter. If you guys want to see them or want to edit them, anything like that, please just let me know and I will make sure I can get something to you to help you out, all right? And if we look here at the Bitcoin dominance, we can see we dropped below the 20 daily exponential moving average, and now we're hovering in this zone after we tried to come up and retest. We got rejected. Bitcoin's dominance is dropping again, just showing that more strength is in the altcoins than in Bitcoin. Also looking at just the total market cap here, we can see that we came up above 2 trillion, which this here was our 2618 on this trend-based fib extension. We came down perfectly to find a nice candle body right here at the 1618. So this could be a logical point where we would see a bottom for the altcoins, including Bitcoin itself, just because we are at a good market cap somewhere in this zone. So this is a sign that the worst could be behind us, and that this is now where we will play around with until we get some legs and maybe go further for Bitcoin. But all right, let's go ahead and head into Bitcoin now on the daily. And if we look here, we can see I have a lot of little lines here, and we're going to go through all of them. But if we head back here, we're just going to start back in roughly September of 2020 here. And we can see we have this really, really nice uptrend here. And I'll kind of zoom in here. We have this nice uptrend, very healthy, had some corrections. When we got overextended in this wave up here, we corrected down, and so on and so forth. If we measure this move here from the bottom to the top of this, we get this value here. And we can see that when we finally consolidated and broke to the upside, this was our next target, which we did meet exactly with this $63,000 area. Now, if we just did a measured move of this little symmetrical triangle right here, we can also see that this move puts us right to where the Elon Musk news brought us to, showing that, this was a completed move here, and now we needed to consolidate more. Well, we overextended and we formed this bearish wedge here, constricting wedge, pennant, however you want to call it, and these are bearish patterns. And if you take a move of what this bearish pattern would be, and I did it to its most extreme, so I did, instead of just measuring from here to here, I did the biggest pattern that it possibly could have been, which would be this large bearish pennant here. And when you take that measured move here and you apply it to where we broke to the downside, which was more likely for that pattern, you can see that right where we're trading at right now is the full correction, and that these wicks or shadows were a little bit past that. And you can see that right where it's at is right at around $35,000, $36,000. And this is where we have most of this trading here, which is to be expected if we have a bearish pattern, it goes to the downside. So if we were to zoom in on Bitcoin right now, this is the 4 hourly. If I have a little bitty reverse head and shoulders here, if we had broken this neckline, like I'll just readjust. Well, actually, this works out pretty good. If we were to break this neckline here, it'd be very likely that we would have got up to around $71,000. But the same goes if we were to break to the downside. So let me find a pattern here where we broke to the upside again. So right here we had either maybe a little reverse head and shoulders. This here is the neckline. So if we took just a simple move of this, and this is just all rough estimates here, just to give you an idea of how these things work, you can see right up to the target that we had above. So as we're going and moving, these big patterns form, but within these big patterns form much smaller patterns. So now that we have this bearish pennant play out, we even had a nice little like ABC correction, A, B, or 0 ABC down to the bottom, and very likely that this would be somewhere where we would find the sellers would finally get exhausted and we would finally have some momentum to head up to the upside. So in this zone here, this is where I'm looking to see, all right, are we starting to see some bullish signs, or are we starting to see some bearish signs? Because right now everything's bad. Everybody thinks it's going to zero. People are mad that they're losing money, and I completely get it, right? Just don't look at your portfolio. I'm down over $1 million. It's just, it is what it is, right? So, but if I don't sell, I haven't lost anything. It's just unrealized versus realized. So now we have this, we've met our correction, and now we're somewhere down here. We have our 200-day simple moving average as this purple line. And you can see we fell below it and we got rejected again. We have our 20 weekly exponential moving average and our 20 daily, and you can see that they are about to enter a bearish cross, which isn't a good thing. This is signifying that usually we are about to enter a bear market. But, if we were to shoot up to the upside here, we could cross under it and then back over. So go from a bearish to a bullish cross really fast. So the end isn't here yet, but things get further and further more bearish when you start to see these things. But the question is this just from manipulation and FUD from people because this is a small asset class as a whole and it's easier to do that? Or are these real signs that we need to pay attention because we are going to go into a little bit of a bear market and the cycle is completely different? We stopped doing the 4-year cycle thing. Who knows what's the future's going to hold, but we got to take the signs as they are. So now that we know that we're down here, the next likely thing would be to bounce up to this region, right? This like $52,000 region. At least in my opinion. If you guys have another opinion, please let me know. But it seems like that would be the obvious thing, because then we come up and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can go up or we can get rejected and come back down further. So if we go back to our 4-hourly chart, we can see this downtrend that we were in. This is by the orange line. We broke through that and we started to make our way to the upside. So this was our first sign of, strength here and a potential for a reversal, because we had a downtrending line of resistance and we finally were over to overcome it, right? Doesn't mean that we're going to the moon today, but it just means that, okay, more people are starting to switch to the bullish side than there are on the bearish side, right? Because this is a game where you're fighting against one side or the other, and you just want to be on the winning side, because if you're on the side with the most people, that means you guys are all in agreement and consensus. You get to make the same decision and you can actually make money. Well, we broke through this. I still have the little Wyckoff accumulation lines on here. If you want to see that video, check above, and if it's not already in the video from earlier. But I really went over Wyckoff because this was something I talked about during the SEC lawsuit back in December. And it was one of the first things I read about in stock trading, because it has to do with the idea of the composite man. It's really interesting, but it puts you in the eyes of like a third party, and what would you do if you knew more information, right? If you could predict more. So the psychology of markets and how everything works is very, very, very interesting to me. So we came down here, we crossed over this resistance, and now we're forming some sort of symmetrical triangle. And I drew this yellow line here, and let me back that shit up. And I extended this line out because I want you to be able to see that as we came down, this was support, 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 resistance. Now resistance, resistance, resistance. So this line here is very, very important. If we can get a 4-hour candle to close above this line, so say above 39,300 roughly, there is a chance that we could see a break to the upside. And right here we have our 20 weekly exponential moving average, or sorry, this is our 200-day simple moving average. I guess the color got changed. Try to put it back so it looks the same across the charts here. So we have our 200-day simple moving average. We have our 20 daily exponential moving average up here, And then our 20 weekly is right there as well, about to do that bearish cross. So if we can get a bounce right here on this one support line, which you can see we've had here in the past, if we can get back above the $36,200 ish, we may have a bounce all the way up to 39,000 where we could get back above, see if we can get above this moving average, see if we can get above this resistance. But if we were to have a breakout to the upside, my whole point of this, and I'll try to keep this short, is if it's just a simple move, say we have a breakout from right here, this puts us at 51,466. And what do you know, 51,000 is somewhere in this area. So it'd be very likely if we break out of this pattern here that we could see a jump up to retest this trend line, which then again, if we get above this one, this is when I think the pump actually will start. Bitcoin has had its time to consolidate. All the new and weird things and events that happen in the market are all factored in at this point, and it's just like we're kind of like resetting at zero if that one theory of mine comes true. But either way, we're keeping a track of these markets. I believe in crypto for the long term, but then again, I'm just a doctor/idiot, and this is not financial advice. Who the fuck knows if I know what I'm talking about, right? Some days I don't even know if I know what I'm talking about. But looking at these markets right here, I see a lot of fear. I see a lot of people all starting to agree that it's going to keep going down. And that's usually when everything just does the exact opposite. And then all the people who are following individuals on Twitter for all these trades are going to start ranting and bitching and moaning. And then all of a sudden the meme coins will come back and then they'll start pumping again and people will forget. So it's just like the same thing happens over and over and over through each one of these little mini cycles, throughout the big cycles, throughout the bigger cycles. And the longer I stay in here, the more I observe, the less I worry about any of this, and it's easier for me to stay calm. So I hope you guys can take some solace in that, and help yourself make this easier to do for you, because it can be super stressful in the beginning. Because the second you start to lose money, you're like, oh God, what am I gonna do, right? So, but you need to make sure that the money you're putting into this, you're willing to lose, and if it is affecting you that much, maybe just step back a little bit, or don't put yourself so heavily invested. So, but we're going to keep an eye on Bitcoin. Let's see if we can get above this, make it retest here, and then maybe we can get some of that strength back. If we head over to Ethereum, it's exact same boat. You can see that if we head down to like the 4 hour, we could be doing the little reverse head and shoulders thing. We also could just be forming another little bear flag or some sort of symmetrical triangle like this. So again, these would be key areas to watch for support and resistance if you were wanting to trade these, because this is such a short time interval. There's no real way to know which support or resistance is actually going to hold at this time. But I would say that $1,700 is probably decent. If we can get back above here, again, for the same price targets scenarios like we did with Bitcoin, just trying to do this quick since I didn't have enough time to make annotated charts today. This is going to be putting us back up to 4,000, which is a big even, which is putting us back into the pattern that we had before. You know what I mean? So this is a very, very likely scenario if Bitcoin were to do the same thing. Looking at ETH against Bitcoin here on the weekly, if we were to zoom in, you can see where we broke this downtrending 2.5-year downtrending resistance, popped up, we hit the 236, got rejected, came down, and now off we go here. And this is Ethereum against Bitcoin on the weekly. If we go to the daily, you can see how this looks, very, very good, nice and healthy. We got to here, coming back up. So this is, very possible that we could drop down a little bit more, but we're most likely forming some sort of little bullish pattern right here. So just keep an eye on ETH, and we'll see what it can do. I've sold about 50 to 60% of my ETH already. The rest of it is just as it goes higher, I'm slowly taking more and more profits. And I like to have ETH for some of the DeFi projects, regardless of how I feel about their fucking gas fees and their shitty ass fucking Ethereum. But it's just annoying because I can go on BNB and I can transfer the same amount of money for a hundredth of the fee compared to that, and then BNB and all these other things are not even close to what like XRP, Stellar, and all these other ones can do as far as speed and things. So But I do keep ETH for some of those different scenarios. But as it goes up, I will be selling more and more and more. The reason I want you to see this chart on ETH is because it looks very similar to XRP. Oh, I have a lot of stuff on this chart right here. Well, we'll just zoom in, but you can still see this big triangle here with the orange line downtrending resistance here. And now if we zoom in to where we are now, again, this is on the weekly, you can see where we broke below this key support. When we shot above it, we also broke that downtrending resistance, and now we're trading sideways. So this was something similar to what Ethereum did against Bitcoin. After it broke this trend, it popped off a little bit, came down. So we popped off a little bit, came down, and if we move this to the daily, it's even easier to see. There we go. Popped off, came down, traded sideways, and now for Ethereum, we traded sideways here. So it's very possible that we could pop off at any point. The second XRP versus Bitcoin gets above this level here, this is when I think we're going to see the fireworks, and it's going to be absolutely crazy. And we're going to see moves something like this here getting up to this level. So looking at XRP on just a shorter term here, here's just the more macro scale on the daily. We're getting really good support on the 236. This 20 weekly exponential moving average is showing to be very, very key support. So if we can maintain this level here, we'll have a chance to get above the dollar point in the daily and potentially come back up to, you know, set new highs and things like that. But again, I think we need to make sure Bitcoin can find its bottom. We need to make sure we can see that Bitcoin has a chance to go up a little bit. Then if it comes back down to retest that support, it's okay, but we need to see at least a little bit more strength from the buyers that we can push the price up above some of the previous resistances to maybe turn them into support. But going to sit back and wait. Once Bitcoin does that, at any moment, you may see XRP, Ethereum, any of these other alts just go absolutely parabolic. You know, there's news here coming in the next weeks with XRP and the Ripple SEC case. So, you know, anything can happen at this point. So, you know, have fun out there. Don't worry about all the red. If you have it, go do something else. Have a good hobby. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.